Thanks for tuning in once again as we wrap up Rutgers' win over Temple. As Rutgers goes 3-0 in the non conference for the second straight season, heading to the Big Ten schedule, the Iowa Hawkeyes on tap. So, not a whole lot to talk about on a show and a game that just was ugly. But it is what it is, and a win's a win. I just got finished watching the Jets beat the Browns, and it's the same thing. Now, it was a much prettier win, but there was also a lot of ugliness there too. But at least there were points, and it was exciting. This one, wow, the offense is in rough shape. There's just no denying it. The quarterback play is not good, and it's going to cost them. There's no question about it. There are going to be a number of losses this year. Will there be 6 or will it be more? That's going to be the big question. Keeping in mind, and we talked about this before the season began, that Rutgers schedule was not going to be all that bad. That they were going to get Nebraska, which they still get, and you can see Nebraska. I mean, if Rutgers can't beat Nebraska the way Nebraska's going, then we don't deserve to be in a bowl. We get Nebraska and Indiana back to back, and I said this on one of my college football shows, and I'm going to keep saying it. And I had Western Kentucky as one of my 3-star picks, and they should have won. The coach was way too conservative late, and it cost them. And Indiana beat them in overtime. But Indiana has got to be like Rutgers offensively. I mean, those are 2 weak offensive 3-0 teams. Probably the worst offensive 3-0 teams in FBS football right now. So they're beatable. I don't think there's any question Rutgers can beat Indiana. Doesn't mean they're going to, but they're beatable. So you got Indiana, Nebraska back to back beatable, and then you have this Iowa game coming up, which I believe is going to really determine whether or not they go bowling. Because if they can get this win, I still think they're gonna grab a win this year that nobody's expecting them to. And I don't mean Boston College. I mean like a team like, wow, that was an impressive win. Now I don't know what that's gonna be. Will it be at Minnesota? That's still possible. Will it be at Michigan State? That's possible. Will it be at Maryland? That's definitely possible. So there's just so many possibilities. When you look at it, you have Ohio State in week 5 and Michigan and Penn State. Those are the 3 games that I'm willing to go, okay, they're going to lose those 3. So you can say now after going 3-0, we're 3-3 now. Okay? So, you have Iowa, Nebraska, Indiana, Minnesota, Michigan State, and Maryland. You have 6 games. All 6 games can go either way. So as long as you do the either way 50% in those 3, you're going to be 6-6. Worst case scenario. And again, I think they're going to steal a win somewhere, but who knows? Maybe they'll lose a game that I think that they should win. And maybe that puts them at 6-6 anyway. And I'm not trying to, you go, well, we're 3-0, and you're talking about being 6-6. But again, the offense was just, it's not going to work. And I'm not blaming Gleason. Okay, it's not Gleason's fault, but I just can't believe that what has taken place has taken place, and that is that I miss Noah Vedral. I just can't believe I'm saying that. I'm missing Noah Vedral. That's not good. Missing Noah Vedral is not good, but he's clearly missed. Now, Wimsat's banged up, and just kind of listening to the way Coach Schiano talked in the presser, I'm thinking he's probably not going to be available. This is Evan Simons, and I don't think Vedral's going to be available too. I think Evan Simon now will have he's going to have a real opportunity with a 3-0 team against a very good defense. You're at home. It's a winnable game. Go do something. And he's not going to do anything special. He's just not the type of player. But now you're going to be able to know, hopefully, and I know they're going to probably throw Langan in there, and you're going to see that, and that's going to be okay. And they need it. Trust me. I mean, they need it. I mean, he was the only thing that they had going for them against Temple. But that's something. It's like the Wildcats, like that gimmick that you bring in when you don't have good quarterback play. So they're going to go with Simon. He's probably Again, this is if Wimsatt doesn't play and Bedrell's not ready. He's going to finally get an opportunity to play the whole game. And I think this is going to be good for him. Now, we got to keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't have like his bad game because there's nobody behind him. So, but this is it. This is your chance, man. Because I don't care if Iowa put 27 on board against Nevada. Their offense is bad. Now, unfortunately, for our sake, they got a couple of their key receivers back in the game against Nevada. Maybe that's why they were able to move the ball a little bit more. But they're still, you talk about, I mean, I thought we had bad quarterbacks. So they have issues on offense. So do we. I actually think we have more playmakers on offense than they do. And I don't think our quarterback play is worse than theirs. But the difference is they've built a foundation there for many years with their coaching staff, and they have a very strong defense. Defense that is not as good as they were last year because they're not getting the takeaways and they're not. So even though they just pitched a shutout and they're still very good, that's the one thing they haven't done that they did last year, and that's caused the turnovers. And that's the one thing we did not do against Temple. Turn over the football, because if we would have turned the football over in that game, maybe we would lose the football game. So that's what has to continue. If they're going to beat Iowa on Saturday, no turnovers, win the turnover battle, or break even, and then you're going to have a chance to win the football game. You lose the turnover battle against Iowa, I'll tell you right now, the game's over. We're going to lose. So win the turnover battle or break even against Iowa, we're going to have a chance to win that football game. Because you can't give that offense easy scoring chances. Okay, because they're not going to march up and down the field. That's just if they do that, they'll do it like once. That's it. That's all they got in them. As far as this game, let's talk about the beginning of the game, because I think this is the type of play that has got to be made, and it is going to. I think it's going to put a stamp immediately on the game, especially when you have a quarterback that's never started before. And Warner, it's a nice story, the Hall of Famer's son and all that, but he doesn't have a strong arm. He's more smart, cerebral. That's what he is. He doesn't have a blazing arm. If he did, he would have been a 4 or 5 star recruit to go along with those smarts. I want to play something out of the presser from Coach, because this is exactly what I felt and feel. I don't think he specifically talked about Longerbeam not picking off that. What was that? The first play, I think, right? Which would have been a pick 6. But this is really what he was getting at. So let's hook him up here. See what he has to say.
Right, and then we had some missed opportunities. Games take on a personality of their own. So if you get a stop or you get a takeaway, the game can go in a whole nother direction. And when you don't, it also can go in a whole nother direction.
Okay, so there you go. That's exactly how I think that's what he meant. I think that is what he was talking about. Is that play? If he picks off the pass, goes for 6, you got a young quarterback who just saw in his first start, his first play against an FBS team, just saw that. And that's going to freak him out the rest of the game. And you've owned him already in the first play. Instead, you don't get it. Remember in the Boston College game, we talked about the sack, the great call on the blitz, and the ball was sitting there. And I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Powell. Could not only not recover it, but that should have been a recover 6 points. Didn't get it. And it's interesting because I think in the Boston College, the next series, Boston College scores a touchdown. Just like Temple did. And they score a touchdown. And they go up 7-0. And it was not like Temple marched up and down the field. They didn't do that. They didn't have the capability of doing it offensively. But, there were a few things like, what was it? On that drive, there was a 4th and 4. And there was I think they had a 20-yard pass. I think it was down the middle and I don't know who was defending, because in zone coverages, it's hard for me to know who's at fault. But it was just you give up 20 yards in a 4th and 4, and the guy's wide open in the middle of the field, and that led to the touchdown run by the backup, the Wildcat, and they go down 7-0. So we had to wait until 3:05 left in the first quarter to make any play whatsoever, and that was Johnny Langing's Wildcat run for 30 yards, and that put us in position eventually to get to a touchdown, to a field goal attempt. But on that drive, 3rd and 10 at Temple's 30, and this is how bad our offense is. This is how much they can't and do not trust our quarterbacks. They call Wimsatt draw. They didn't think of it like, oh yeah, we're gonna catch him here and we're gonna pick up a first down. It was, all right, we don't want to turn the ball over. We have to get points here. So let's just pick up a few yards, kick the field goal, and we're happy. And that's exactly what happened. McAtamney with the 45-yarder, 7-3. Then Longerbeam drops another interception. Dude, you got to catch the ball. All right? You are an ascending player. If you want to be a pro, you've got to catch these balls. And start catching them when we get into Big Ten play, okay? Wouldn't have mattered anyway, because they called personal foul on Aaron Lewis, who had a phenomenal game. You know, a couple weeks ago when we were on and we talked about the great game from Bailey, and this was a great game by Lewis. And this is what you need. You know, they now have multiple players along the defensive line that can come out and, you know, make big plays. Powell made a nice run stop to force a 4th down. And at that point, the defense was holding Temple. It was 7-3. It was ugly. But Willie Tyler winds up giving up another bad sack in the second quarter. That could have been a quarter. That could have got your quarterback hurt. That could have been a turnover. They got to, and that's against non-Big Ten teams. And Iowa, they're looking at film and going, look what we can attack. And you cannot see, that's the thing, the difference with Wimsatt. The only thing Wimsatt has going for him over Simon right now is that Wimsatt, when he gets hit, he's athletic enough where he doesn't take the big hit. He can kind of move around. Simon, he's going to get hit. And if he gets hit without anybody but a walk-on behind him, that's not going to be very good. Let's see. Then we had the huge play, the huge turning point with Loyal's pick 6. It was with 6 minutes left in the half, I believe. 55-yarder. See, Loyal should teach Longerbeam something. But, I mean, think about it. We could have 2 pick 6s in the game. Anyway, Loyal, we haven't even called his name at all, really, this season. So that was nice to see. Speaking, did I put it here? Speaking of players that we haven't talked about, because I wasn't on the show last week, and he had a really nice game. The kid Long, the receiver. See, it's easy for us to go, oh, you know, they got to get the ball more to Cruikshank. They got to get the ball more to this dude or that dude. They got to get more to the tight ends. Don't you think they're trying to? It's the quarterbacks, man. They're not good. Okay, so you can call up any play you want. Hey, let's try to get the ball to this guy, that guy. The quarterback has to get them the ball. So, but that kid looks like a keeper, man. I mean, he's made some really nice plays the last couple of weeks. And that's a nice sign. I think he's only at, what, is he like, I think he's got at least 3 more years of eligibility left. So that's nice to see. We need some good young receivers to hold our hat to. So that's nice. There was, I think it was at 10-7 Rutgers, there was a stat that had Rutgers offense had 51 yards and 1 first down. And they led 10-7. Temple went for it on 4th and 1 at their own 34. And they got it on a quarterback sneak. And it didn't amount to anything. Rutgers goes for it on 4th and 3 from the Temple 28. And Simon hits, it figures, on 4th down. he has his best pass. See, that's why I know there's a little bit more in Simon than we've seen. And I said a couple weeks ago, I think part of the reason why they limit both Wimsatt and Simon is because the more reps you give him, the more mistakes they're going to make. And well, next week there probably isn't going to be an opportunity unless Noah Vedral plays out of nowhere, which I think would be very good. But if Simon does play, this is hopefully what we will see more of. Hopefully maybe he'll make some mistakes, but hopefully he'll also gain more confidence. And because he makes these throws sometimes where you go, well, that's nice. It's a lot better than what we've seen from Wimsatt. I mean, I don't even remember a pass so far this year that Wimsatt's made where I've gone, oh, that's nice. I still think the best pass he's ever thrown is the pass against Illinois last year. Or Indiana, was it last year? I think it was Illinois. That was the best pass I've seen him ever make. It was his first one. So they get the big first down, and that was it. Because it led to another field goal attempt, but it didn't make it. And that was the half. That was the ugly first half for Rutgers. They led 10-7. Melton gets banged up on special teams. And I can hear people going, what's he doing on special teams? I mean, do you really care at this point? It wasn't until a little bit later on that Melton made a play where you go, oh, Melton made a play. He has made a few plays this season, but he has still yet played the way that we expect him to. Longerbeam has clearly been the best corner that we have on the team. So not too worried about that. Let's see. There was, what else? We had Sam Brown getting some action in the second half. He had a nice 16-yard run. But once again, we had to settle for a field goal of 13-7. And yeah, by the way, the play that Melton made, that was the one with the Warner threw a deep pass, and Melton had nice coverage. Temple had a third down run, and Aaron Lewis made a nice stop. It was a third and short run, made a nice stop, forced fourth down. Temple goes for it again, and Powell makes the huge stop, trips the guy up just before he was about to get the first down. And Powell had some couple of plays in the game he liked that back, but that was his best play of the game. Still 13-7. On 3rd and 8, Simon once again comes up with a nice pass, 18 yards to Shameen Jones. That leads to another field goal at 16-7. And that was on the first play of the fourth quarter. Then I was a little bit, I really wasn't sure why they blitzed Rutgers. When you're up 2 scores and you're playing against an offense that they had one drive, and that they're not going to drive the ball down 2 more times. So just let them go down the field in as many plays as possible. Because again, the more plays that you force the young quarterback to make, the more chances are that they're not going to make plays and they're going to make mistakes. So when you blitz, you give them an opportunity to potentially see. I just don't know what they're trying to do. They're trying to end the game. But blitzing when you're up 1 score is different than when you're up 2 scores, in my mind. I think you should have been a little bit more patient, but whatever. I'm not going to nitpick because of the fact that it is what it is. It's during the game, and bottom line, it didn't work. They had the blitz. It led to a 47-yard touchdown. Aaron Young, bad open field tackle. 16-14, and you got a whole quarter to go. So I just thought that was just not a wise play call, and it came back to haunt them, at least temporarily. Then Rutgers has a good drive going. It's 3rd and 8, and Simon makes a terrible mistake because he's not getting a Wimsatt. He had pressure. He didn't really have pressure right off the bat, but as soon as he couldn't find his first man, pressure was there. He took a sack, and that was just an ugly sack to take, and it takes him out of field goal range. And now you put yourself in a position where they can kick a field goal to win the game. So it's not really, it was his worst play of the game, Simon. Temple has the ball 4th and 4 at their own 41, 2.5 minutes left, and Aaron Lewis again making a play, huge pressure up the middle, forces the incomplete pass. Rutgers gets the ball back. Langen for 7, Langen for 5, Langen for 3, Langen for 6, Langen for 18. He slides before he gets to the touchdown, and that would have been it. That's just like I just finished watching the Jet game, just like Cleveland should have done. Slide before you get there. Don't give the team another opportunity. Langen did the job, and that was the end of the football game. So Rutgers escapes. And I don't know about you, but it's one of those games where, as a heavy favorite, I actually thought Rutgers was going to win this game like 35-10. I really did. I did. I thought a little bit more than them. And I think it's because the offense. I expected the offense to start improving a little bit. I thought the defense played as well as I thought they were going to play. I think that what they did defensively was what I kind of expected. But the offense was so bad that it was just not good. Not good at all. And I am at, look, here's the deal. And I know Coach ain't going to listen to me. And I'm not the type of person that likes to talk about trades and with their major league teams. And even in college, oh, let's go get this guy and transfers, because it never works out. When you point to a guy that you want, do you ever get him? Until you finally hear that maybe they're talking to him, that's one thing. But when you know they're not talking to anybody, which Rutgers is clearly not, I bring this up because if you've been watching me long enough, I'm a Michigan fan, Michigan Rutgers fan. Rutgers is number one. I'm from New Jersey. That's always going to be the case. Michigan was my team because when I was young, it is what it is. I had to be another fan. Couldn't just sit there and be a fan of Rutgers back in the 1970s. That's just wasn't going to happen. So I'm a Rutgers Michigan fan. So that's why, for me saying this, I feel this is something that could be said, and that is, I believe what Coach Schiano should be thinking about. I know you can't tamper or anything like that, but what he should be thinking about is, as soon as there's an opportunity, go find out if Cade McNamara would like to play for Rutgers. He has 2 years of eligibility remaining after this year. He's not going to be, I doubt he's going to be with Michigan next year. It is so clear to everybody that J.J. McCarthy's taken over that team, because he's the type of quarterback that can now elevate Michigan from a Final Four team to a national championship team. That's how good McCarthy is as a quarterback. McNamara's a nice quarterback. I mean, heck, he won the Big Ten championship and took Michigan to a playoffs. That's how he's a good quarterback. But he's not a special quarterback. But he's a very good quarterback, very good FBS quarterback. Rutgers still is about, we're at the bottom 10% of FBS and quarterback play. And that's not exact. There's no exaggeration there. That's as bad as you can get. They have got to do something, because there is no way Gavin Wimsatt is going to turn things around by next year. He needs a lot of time. And I think it was good that they got him in early. The earlier, the better. He didn't burn his red shirt, nothing like that, which was great. But this kid needs time. He is nowhere near ready. Kind of felt that way going into the regular season. And there is nothing that has happened so far in the first few games that leads me to believe that Gavin Wimsatt, even by the end of this season, is going to give me hope that he will be the starter clear when Vedrill's gone, that he is going to be the starter, and there's no doubt about it next year. I'm sorry, there's nothing in what I've seen from him right now that leads me to believe that's going to happen. I don't see any positive glimpses in his passing. None. Zero. So here you've got a quarterback that will probably leave. And you're going to say, well, why would he go to Rutgers? Okay. So hear me out. Next year, there's still going to be the divisions. So you're going to have this, and I don't know, obviously he would look at the schedule and know what teams he'll play in the other division as well. But in this division, now, Penn State's, they might have a quarterback opening, but they've got a young quarterback they like. So they're in a much better situation than we are as far as who their 2023 starting quarterback's going to be, as far as their young guy. But that doesn't mean that won't be a good spot as well. But this is the best spot because it's the clear opening. See, he might not want to go to a team like Penn State because he'll go, well, yeah, but they got another young guy there. But he knows if he picks Rutgers, he's the man. Nobody's beating him out. And I say, well, why would he go to Rutgers? Because he'll get to play Michigan. And I think there's nothing Cade McNamara would like better than if this happens, And if he leaves Michigan and McCarthy wins the job and they have a great year this year and he stays healthy and he's the guy next year, I just really feel McNamara is going to want to go somewhere else. And he deserves to go somewhere else. He'll have 2 years left, like I said. This would be a great landing spot because you have a young, up-and-coming program that's building. You've got a proven head coach, okay? And you've got good young players that are all developing this season that they're going to be even better next season. Now they just find themselves that leader, that quarterback leader, because that is the major missing ingredient from Rutgers right now. This is without a doubt a guaranteed bowl team if they had themselves an average FBS quarterback. Average. They'd be a guaranteed bowl bid. Average. Okay? So if they can get Cade McNamara, forget it. I mean, I think if they had Cade McNamara, I think with the schedule they have, I think they have 8 wins minimum this year. That's how much more he'd elevate this team, because I know now from what I've seen, I know what this Rutgers defense can do. They just have such poor quarterback play that even if they don't, again, like I said at the start of what I said, they're not going to probably get McNamara because he'll go somewhere else. And when was the last time? I mean, it's funny because 2 times Rutgers has landed these 4-star recruits and we've all gotten excited about them. And to this point, on the second go around, it's like, how come we land with all these 4-star guys that just don't seem like they're even ready? Why are you it's like when I see these guys, who made them a 4-star? I don't see a 4-star at all in Gavin Wimsatt. So I don't know where that came from. The same thing with I can't even remember his name now. He was so bad. So, but besides that, transfer-wise, why can't we get a guy like that? Why? And I say that because I look at these other quarterbacks that have traveled from East to West Coast. They've gone from FBS to Group 5. I mean, Power 5 to Group of 5. I mean, there are really good FCS guys that are better than what we have. And there are guys that have transferred to spots in in an FBS program, on a Power 5 program, and they wind up sitting on the bench. I mean, Michigan has a quarterback that should be starting in the FBS right now, in Alan Bowman. He was a quarterback for Texas Tech a few years ago and played pretty well. And he's their 3rd string. So you can find these guys. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the whole, we got to find the right guy, but that can't be it with McNamara. McNamara is one of the few team captain quarterbacks that they've had there at Michigan. They love the kid. That's why it was so hard for them to move on with J.J. McCarthy. So that's not going to be it. But I understand that because there are a lot of me guys out there, a quarterback that I'm sure Greg Schiano doesn't want. That's not going to help, because he says it. Oh, the locker room, best locker room I've had. It's great to share with each other and all that. That's nice. But we have to have talent too. And for next season, 2023, it cannot be Gavin Wimsatt. It just cannot. For this program to take that next step, they've got to find a quarterback. Have to. Okay, how they do it. But I'm telling you right now, the second that Cade McNamara decides that he wants to potentially look elsewhere and the season's over, and you have the opportunity to find out, you better make that phone call. And he may say no, but make that phone call. I guarantee you, he'll want to come back and beat Michigan. And he'll know, look at that schedule, and he'll know there's only a few teams that he'll be able to go to that can accomplish that, and this will be one of them. But if you don't go to Cade McNamara, just get somebody. Because this is, I can't believe I'm jonesing for Noah Vedral. I never thought I'd see the day. Because remember last year, what I say, I just want to see these guys. That's it. I'm sure they know what they're doing, but these guys aren't ready. If they can't play over Vedral, that must tell you something. But I just like to see for myself. Maybe they're just not good at practice. Let's see what they do when the lights are on. And I've seen enough. Okay. So, as I said at the open, 3-0 to start the season after the non-conference slate, and that's a good thing. And we can only just move on now to the Big Ten schedule. Big game on Saturday with Iowa, huge game. This is going to tell us a lot because a loss to Iowa, that's a beatable game, is going to wind us putting in, especially if it's done where we score 6 points or 9 points because our offense can't do anything. It's just, it won't be good. It won't be pretty. It won't be a good show next week because what do we have? Ohio State after that, I believe, that you do not. All of a sudden, when you're 3-0 and everything's going nice, and maybe the fact that last year the team was 3-0 and you saw what happened after that, so they got learned. They learned. You know what happened? Because after the 3-0 start last year, then we had that huge near win against Michigan. So, and I think that's what's going to happen with Iowa. I don't think Iowa's capable of blowing us out. So I think there's going to be a close game on Saturday against Iowa. Will we learn from last year? And if we have a chance, win this game. Go 4-0 instead of 3-1, and then all of a sudden you lose to Ohio State, Michigan State, that ugly loss to Northwestern, and you finally start kicking into gear again with a couple of wins in your next 3, and then that's it. But the fact is I hope they've learned, and they're now going to be in a situation where they can go 4-0. And I just look, Simon, I hope he has the best game of his career. He's going to get the opportunity to play maybe the whole game. And if not, if Greg Schiano's keeping something, behind closed doors, and he's gonna surprise us all, and Noah Vedral is gonna go out there and play, I just can't believe I'm gonna be excited about it. But if that happens, then we are gonna have a serious uptick in an opportunity to beat Iowa, and we'll go from there. So now you know why I'm calling for Cade McNamara or anybody else. And I'll tell you right now, as we get closer to the end of the season, maybe even if we have a bowl and there's downtime and we start thinking about next year, I'll bring up a list of quarterbacks by then of, okay, here are guys that we can go after next year. Because I'm telling you right now, and I know it, that nothing's going to change. I think Simon has a better chance of developing into the guy next year, but you got to give him a chance. And if he only has one chance, this is up to you, kid. Because I don't want to. I wouldn't. Maybe he. Everybody's playing the good game, but you can't tell me that they enjoy being in and out all the time. They can't. They're competitors. They want to play all the time, which is great. Now's your chance, kid. Now's your chance. You've been inside. You've kept it in. Oh, I don't like this. Well, now's your chance. So go and take it. Okay. Make Noah Vedral's job harder to come back if he doesn't come back next week, because he's close to coming back. And if you don't give Coach Schiano and Gleason an opportunity to second guess bringing Vedral back sooner, then you have nobody but to blame yourself. So, hey man, I can't wait for the opportunity to go 4-0. I hope we play a good game. That's really what I want to see. I hope we play a little bit better offensively. It's really ugly to watch these games as fans, as you know. It's not a pretty thing, but it is what it is. It's a rebuild. We know that it's going to take time. Nobody thought we were winning divisions here or anything like that. But look, we got to develop a quarterback, or we got to find one, and that's the only thing that's going to change these ugly offensive performances. So. Okay, so what do you think? Any running back recruits or wide receiver recruits are going to want to come to Rutgers when they see what's going on at quarterback? I wouldn't. Would you? See you again next week, everybody.